was over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we're live. Hello, guys.
Hello. What's up, everybody? Doaly is with us today, and I'm back. Thanks for having me on again, Gareth.
It's good to have you, man. It's good to have you. And I know that there's a connection between you two, which makes perfect sense for you to be here. And yeah, well, I said it before in the session with when we had the panel yesterday, but Doaly in particular.
Yeah.
He's of all the artists, he's the one who is geographically closest to me, because he lives literally down the road. I'm not even being facetious. He lives within walking distance.
Crazy when I found out. I think it was the last con we were both together.
And I was you're on what road? Are you kidding me?
Are we gonna take the same train home?
Are we gonna take the train? Yeah.
Could have dropped you back home. I was driving at the time.
Oh, well, noted for future conventions.
Sharing on social while we're talking.
Because fun fact, I can't drive. So
you can't drive?
I can't drive.
Well, I mean,
it just never happened.
Why did you get on a scooter then?
Those two things aren't mutually.
I think you need to say it's a push scooter.
Huh?
I think you need to mention that it's not an electric scooter.
It's not an electric scooter. It's a push scooter. It's like a micro scooter.
I know.
Yeah.
I was making a joke.
Well, that's because
your expense.
Well, some of the best jokes ever told us are at my expense.
Yeah, people coming in. 40 people here.
40 people, awesome.
14, 15.
15.
Victoria, how you doing, my man?
Let's make it 40.
Dave Sharm is back again. He's good buddies with Doaly,
yes. I heard, yeah.
We talk on a weekly basis.
Oh, look who decided to show up. Mr. Don Thompson. Shout out to Don and Rebecca, Poster Posse in the house.
Hey guys.
And everybody's Don just said your office never looked cleaner.
Pete Hendricks, fellow Brummie in the house.
Hendricks.
What's up, Pete?
Thank you. I've shared everything socially, I think, now. So yeah, we can talk and draw now.
Pete Hendricks is father of Amelia Hendricks, who did the Thought Bubble documentary.
It's amazing.
I'm just giving shouts out to people basically. But yeah, Amelia Hendricks is. What's the name of the documentary? I can't remember the name, but if we can,
it was a long title. Right?
We'll pop it in the. I'll find the link while you're doing your thing, Doaly. I will pop it in the comments.
Yeah.
It was a really cool documentary. It was a pleasure to watch, even though like a lot of us were a part of it, but it was even more of a pleasure to watch it afterwards. So hopefully we'll get more of those.
Doaly, could you get the mic a little closer? I think you're kind of quiet.
I've got it kind of set up so when I start drawing,
okay.
More in line. So yeah, I'll speak more.
Because people were commenting in the stream. So
Don says we're crushing it.
Okay, that's good stuff then.
It's good.
Okay, so I'm going to start us out, Gareth. Is that okay?
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right. Yeah, you had some talking already today, so I'm going to jump in. And Doaly and I, we already had a podcast. So for a longer session on Doaly and his career and everything we talked about, you can check that out at DropMac Official, and it's on Instagram. And I wrote a couple comments so people can find me there as well. So yeah, go there, check out the long interview. But today we're going to focus on drawing with Doaly. But before we're going to get into that, I have a little present for you guys, because I mentioned it yesterday already, and some of you already saw it. And Doaly is working with the Poster Posse, as do I. And Don Thompson is representing the Poster Posse. And we said yesterday, Matt Ferguson created the logo, so everything comes together. And we wanted to give you a little tease what we are working on right now. Something is going to happen in the next month is October, in October. And here is a little tease for our logo and the theme we're trying to go with, and more infos will come during the next week probably. And Doaly has that already set up because he created this wonderful logo. This one
should be shared now. That should be on.
It is on now. Yeah, we can see that. It should pop up in the stream in a second. And it's a wonderful, very cool logo, which looks so spooky-tastic. I really love it. And as I saw it for the first time, I was so excited about it that that are we going to change the screen a key? Oh yeah, there we
Do
go.
you want to change? But yeah,
Perfect.
it
It's
did change.
perfect.
Yeah,
Now it's
we
perfect.
sorted
Now
that.
it's
Yeah.
And this logo is so amazing, and I'm really excited for what's going to come, and you will all get to know what will happen next week. And it is just kind of similar to what we do right now, but in a different way. So I hope you all will love it, what we have in plan. Okay, so now the tease is over, Doaly. Take it away.
Okay, great. So let me just flick over to different artboards. So
Sure.
we can get started today. So today I'm drawing Spider-Gwen. So as a lot of you probably seen, I draw a lot of Spider-Man just because I love the character and the world that he lives in. So I thought, why not draw someone different, but within the same family. So to start things off, I'm going to show you kind of like how I start a sketch and what the basis is. So generally everything starts with a very loose pencil sketch, which is what this is. So you play around and you're playing around with shape and fluidity, especially when you're looking at someone which is, in a sense, from having, the powers of Spider-Man and so forth, it's a very acrobatic character. So you want that fluid shape within it. So a lot of it, let me just go into my pencil.
Doaly, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, if that's
Yeah.
okay, while you were.
Sure.
I mean, this kind of pencil sketch, do you do that straight digitally, or are you going to do it on analog with pen and paper and then scan it?
Generally, I would say like I generally only play around with like paper and pen when I'm coming up with a poster for a composition point of view. Like, does it work as a composition, as a thumbnail? But when I want to start playing around and getting it to the point where I'm starting my piece, it's generally always digital.
Mm-hmm.
In this sort of sense. So it's really, they're working out the nuances of the sketch. So like one of the main things about this one is this S shape that we've got here, which is like you want to have a dynamic shape that creates motion rather than having rigid. So you got this dynamic S shape here, and everything, all the limbs kind of shoot off from that. And that's really much the starting point. And then the other thing, which is more stylistic, is looking at curves and straight lines. If you look at the work of, like, say, Tim Bruce, Tim Bruce, and it's like his Spider-Man work, it's like it's always working with its curved lines opposite straight edge lines, and it really gives you this very dynamic shape. So I've kind of use that same sort of language on this piece. So you start off with this sort of like rough sketch that you're trying to just work out form and shape and fluidity, and then you start drawing on top of that, and you get a lot more of a detailed sketch, which is more the finer points. So you forget that, you turn off your initial sketch, and you start looking at the detail of, okay, you start working out hands and everything, and the costume, all the little details that kind of make up the character and that silhouette. And that's the other thing, like you really want to have a recognizable silhouette when you're drawing a character.
Is this also part of the screen print that you create with the different layers?
Kind of, yeah. So I did Spider-Verse, which I think is a couple of years ago now. So it's based on the character that I drew in that. So I thought, okay, let's draw that, but let's draw it a lot larger, and I can fit in a lot more detail. So I'm gonna get starting and start drawing there. So first thing, I'm just gonna flip between a couple of pens. Okay. So first thing, generally, what I start is, once I have my pencil sketch, is I start drawing a silhouette of this character. So I'm going to do that, and while I do this, you can by all means ask any questions that you have.
Sure. So yeah, I'm asking, already asked in the comments a little bit while you were talking, what everybody's favorite Spider-Verse character is. So you can drop it in comments. I will read it out. Maybe have some explanation there. Dave Sketch just wrote he loves the Batman versus Superman you did with the kid, and he's not really into superhero movies, but he thought that was a very, very great idea.
Oh, thank you. It's one of those things. I set myself a brief at the time saying I want to draw a Batman v Superman piece, but I don't actually want to draw Batman and Superman in it, because I thought every piece that comes out is just going to be those two heroes pitted against each other in very interesting ways. But I thought, let's try something different. So I kind of took the piece and said, okay, I'm going to look at it from a child's eye point of view, and it's based actually on my son. So the kid in the piece is actually my son. So we played around for a day, and he did some posing for me, and that was the base of the piece. So it was really much like you're, as a child, you see your two childhood heroes pitted against each other, and it's the same fights that you had when you were playing with your action figures, but in this case it's real life. So I thought that spoke louder than just having the characters by themselves.
How is it in that way? Because the black line is basically how you draw it. Like, it's going to be the final outline, right?
Yeah. So this is kind of the clean inked line.
Yeah, I was wondering. I mean, because I'm so very like a perfectionist, and this looks very this looks not to say simple, but you know this would be hard for me to to make it perfect in that way. I mean, I'm not an artist, so I don't know how that feels, but
I think with something like this, because I'm going, one of the things that I'm drawing with speed at the moment, just so I can fit everything into the hour. I'd generally probably take a little more time with each line as I draw it, but it's like the beauty with this particular layout is that I'm going for a very fluid shape. So I purposely made the curves so they kind of flow from one to another from certain points. So it allows for this kind of very quick kind of like curvy brushwork. Otherwise, sometimes I'm here zoomed in this much. I'm just very much trying to perfect every little line from like pixel perfect. But it depends what your final outcome. I know this is for more of a demonstration piece than it is going to be a print per se. So I can be a little bit quicker because it's only for screen sharing.
Sure. Okay.
Don's dropping well, not hints, but he's basically doing your PR for you. He's talking about the Wonder Woman piece that you've got on the way.
Yeah, because somebody asked, and we have already some comments on. I'm sorry, I want to put that in there for a sec because people are commenting on their favorite Spider-Verse character, and we have Noir, which is one of my favorites, definitely. Noir and Spider-Punk are my two favorite characters, I have to say. And for Vittorio, it's Miles, followed by Spider-Ham.
Very cool.
Spider-Ham is strong recommendation.
Yeah. Did you guys watch the shorts, the Spider-Verse shorts?
No. I think so. Yeah, I'm definitely sure. I have watched them. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they were cool. Yeah.
Okay. People talked about the plate and what's happening with your Wonder Woman stuff. So how maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit. I mean, we touched it yesterday a little bit, but
we did. So the plate is I'm working with Bottleneck again because we worked on the previous Wonder Woman piece together. So the plate is ready to go. The plate was pretty much ready to go, in a sense, from a design point of view last year.
okay, cool.
We've been waiting just because, with COVID and everything, and the delay of the film, and because of like production and so forth. So we're just trying to find the right moment to release it, and it would be around the window of the film being released. But we're pretty much there with it. I would say I teased a little bit of it during Fandom because I thought that was the right time, just because it's back in the ether sort of thing, and people are talking about it. So I teased a little bit of the plate then. But I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I had a prototype made of it pretty much this time last year. I traveled.
Do you have it at home?
I don't. I gave that prototype away. Joe has it currently.
Joe has it. Okay.
Joe has the prototype. So when I went to New York Comic Con last year, I went with the prototype.
Okay.
In a sense, kind of sell the idea, because Joe was very much up for it as soon as I kind of made a quick sketch of it in Photoshop. But then it was like, okay, we got to get, in a sense, Warner and DC on board with something like this.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be the perfect way to do it, because once you hold the plate in your hand, it's like, it makes total sense to why you would, design a plate and how it lends itself to Greek history and Greek design, that you'd want to have the character in the same way. So,
but not Greek plate smashing, I hope.
Well, I'm thinking once the thing's made, I'm going to smash one plate and get it framed as a smash plate.
That could be cool.
I just wanted to say that Doaly is already married, so that's not going to work for the I don't know. Do they do that?
Plate smashing is just a party thing. They do it like at the end of parties and stuff, and it's not just weddings.
Yeah, here in Germany they just do it like the night before the wedding.
Okay. No, I've not. Well, I've only seen it really as like from restaurants and so forth. But I thought, hey, it's still something that can be done. So I've now drawn my silhouette. So I'm going to combine my line work with this fill.
Okay.
And put the two together. So now we've got this. So we're going to work off of this as basically our template for everything. So what we're going to do is just create this as a silhouette. We're going to select this, and now we're going to basically create a folder within Photoshop, and this will be the mask for that folder. So everything in black, you don't see everything in what you do, and it just allows you a bit of freedom. So basically you're painting within the lines, and you don't have to worry about things falling outside of that. So now I'm going to start blocking out certain elements of the character, like the suit, in different colors, and then we're going to start putting in detail.
Okay, there were a couple of questions on what resolution are you working on in 300 DPI? Is the question by Pete?
Generally speaking, I mean 300 DPI, but it depends. I sometimes work at 450. Not that I need to, but it allows me just to put in a little more detail to certain things.
Yeah.
When I'm zooming in. So, but otherwise, standard 300 is fine.
And yeah, this is definitely not vector based, as Dave Scats asking, and this is all like hand drawn on your Photoshop, as people might not see, because I mean I can see it in a screen share.
He's got a very nice, very expensive, large tablet that he's drawing on.
Yeah,
got a Cintiq.
That does help. Yeah.
And you people, you can see the Gareth and I. We can see the full screen share with all like the protocol, the history, and all the layers and stuff like that. Sadly, you can't see that, but it's
very messy. And I just wanted to like concentrate on the art side of it in a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
As much, and just the real estate that we have.
It allows you to sort of focus on one particular aspect of things, I suppose.
There was another question of what is everybody's or your and as well your favorite Spider-Man? Is it Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, or Tobey Maguire?
Ooh, it's different for different reasons, I guess. I couldn't say blankly it's one. I grew up with Tobey as my Spider-Man, in a sense, my live-action Spider-Man. So that's always going to be like, okay, I like Tobey, even though like some people aren't, big on him being Spider-Man anymore, or just that memory of it. But I still very much enjoy those films. And then I like Garfield as well, because he brought something different to the role with his character. I think he felt like a more younger version, more quippy than what he was. But I think Tom Holland is like the sweet spot at the moment for the character. So very happy that we've got Tom playing the role.
Okay. Quick question: Why did you do in the drawing? You on the right side you did this little triangle there, and on the left side you didn't, or is it?
I'm gonna bring it in. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering why you did that.
Oversight by me, because what I'll do is now that I've got it, because it was just.
Ah, okay. I see.
I can just cut away with certain things.
Ah, okay.
Now it's just there we go. I'm just gonna do that. And
We've got a question that I think is addressed to possibly me. When is that They Live stuff coming out from Vice Press? It's not it's not an AMPjam thing. It's coming out in I think he said at the end of the month. So that was. I mean, they haven't released a tease of the JPEG of it. So they were showing it because they have it already printed. But yeah, in a few weeks' time, I'm sure they'll be previewing it soon and then putting it out. But it's not far off. I think possibly the end of the month.
Cool. Yeah, I think was it Matt and James showed it off yesterday in their stream?
Yeah, Drew was
really cool.
Yeah.
First time I've seen it, so it's like, that's lovely.
Yeah, so go back there, people, and check out the stream with Vice Press and Matt and James in there, and they showed us the goods.
I actually had a question for you, possibly for both of you, but being a member of Posse. Posse is something that I sort of became aware of quite soon after I became aware of prints in general. So first thing I'd heard print-wise was through Mondo, but then very quickly became aware of other things. But it seems like Posse has played quite an important role for British artists to become, to develop an awareness for them and a career for them. Is that the case in your experience, Doaly? Is that true? And is it as Anglo? Is it quite important for artists in Britain? Has it been quite an important vehicle?
I mean, in a sense, the Posse is based in America and LA primarily, but quite a strong contingent of the artists involved are from the UK. I think generally speaking, we've got some great artists in the UK from a alternative movie poster point of view and pop culture, and we just happen to have quite a few of them within the Posse. I haven't necessarily thought about it that it's been a UK thing only, that it's allowed UK artists, but artists as a whole more than anything else.
I mean, we have artists like from Germany, as Aline was yesterday in there. There is Attila Zarkar from Turkey, and we have I forgot the Japanese feller's name. Do you have
Kaz?
Kaz, yeah. He's from. Then we have South American people in there, so there's worldwide. There's a worldwide artists in there that all contribute.
Yeah, sure. It was basically, so I guess asking if it's obviously I recognise it as an international thing, but it just seemed like there were quite a lot of British artists have done well through their membership of Post Posse in terms of establishing themselves.
There were a couple of questions in there. Pete wanted to know: is Doaly given a style guide with all the official PMS CMY colors? CMYK.
I generally don't I generally want to go by what I want to do by eye. We do get, like, depending on the property, occasionally we do get given access to things like that. But for the most part, I don't adhere to them, or I just want to do what I want to do. And if they don't bring me up on it, then great. Because I think one of the beauties of it is, like, you want to really put your vision behind the character. So yes, you can like worry about, to that degree of detail, but I've never had the issue where it's like my colors aren't matching and I've always just played them by eye. So yeah, you do get occasionally, depending on the character and depending on the property, you can get access to style guides, which are helpful, definitely. But then sometimes it's like with a lot of projects, it's like it's based on fan material or based on trailers and any like marketing stills that you can get hold of just to see like costume design and so forth. So you don't always get furnished with that level of documentation and detail directly.
Don is dropping in the comments a couple more.
He's showing just how international you guys are.
How diverse we are. Dave Scats wants to know any top tips for improving workflow when sketching. He said, like, I guess learning keyboard shortcuts helps a lot. But is there any other workflow help?
I would say be just like, I think when you're drawing, if you're drawing with confidence in your line work, it shows. If you're not confident in what you're drawing, it becomes very bitty in what it is. It's like very sketchy and scratchy. So that's why I think I draw, like a lot of artists I know, we draw with have that initial pencil sketch that kind of irons out all those little bugs and stuff that are behind a piece. And once you're happy with that, you can draw over that very quickly and easily with confidence, so it shows within the line work. So I would just say, like with most people, it's just very much practice. There's of course a level of talent involved, but then the other side is skill, and skill just comes by doing it a lot. So just keep practicing. When you can, just draw as much as you can. I would say.
Okay.
Much as possible.
Oh, I just realized I totally forgot about that. I'm gonna have a fantasy football draft in 1.5 hours.
Okay. Wow. Double booked.
It's not double booked. It's okay, but I'm prepared, and that will work out. But it's a fun thing. I mean, football season is gonna start up. I wonder how that's gonna look like. In terms of like with the fans and like the events, everything's back. I mean, the NBA one was, I thought the idea was cool, but I think it's not the same in terms of like having the fans actually there. But they did, you could buy those webcam seats, basically.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah.
Did you see that? That was very interesting.
I've seen that in a few sporting events, and I think it adds a bit of atmosphere for if you're watching on TV or what have you.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's a cool idea, just to get that fan engagement back into sports, even though you can't go to the stadiums yourself. So it's, generally speaking, if it's done right, it's a cool thing to have.
Speaking of fan engagement, Derek praising your Jaws piece.
Oh, cool! Yes, it's
Derek from Canada, no less.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, it's one of those pieces where I did it for fun. It's an idea that I had, and I was talking with like a few people about it initially. And it was one of those things, was like, we're not sure if it's going to work. Then I was like, I like the idea enough that I was like, I'll finish it myself. And then I put it out on social media, and it's like, everyone loved the idea. And then from that, Joe, as everyone's been referring to him, Joe Bottleneck, or just Bottleneck, contacted me and they said, hey, would you like to run with this? I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And very quickly we got it signed off, and then got it converted, the original art file, into a screen print. And it worked really well. So I was like, yeah, very happy with that piece, because it pays homage to the original, but it's a fresh idea with the same sort of layout. So yeah, I'm very happy with that piece. It's like everyone has like a Jaws piece in them, and that was mine.
Stephen Sutcliffe asks, how would you start in digital art What's a good startup package as my daughter wants to start? That's to everyone. I wouldn't know. I think it's probably mostly to Doaly, but
when I started digital art, I got something very inexpensive like a Wacom Bamboo, which I believe is around about anything between like 30 to 40 or 50 pounds, I guess. So for what it is as a starter thing, it's quite inexpensive. So I did a lot of my early career stuff on that, like £50 Bamboo tablet. And I just get a drawing program. I mean, I use Photoshop and I have ever since I was 13. But there's other like free or the very like inexpensive programs which also kind of give you the same sort of basics. But I would just basically jump on, and start playing around with it. Like I know a lot of people do pencil sketches and scan them in and use them as their basis, just so you have a framework for what you're drawing. And some people are happy just drawing directly on the tablet. But the main thing is just jumping in. Don't be afraid, because you're not going to break anything. You're just really just trying to learn the basics of it and like the pros and cons.
And I was just going to say, I don't know how old his daughter is, but in terms of the services they might be able to get from her school if she's at school, there might be equipment and services available to her through the school. In the same way that you can get musical instruments through school. Hiring stuff. And when I think back to things like what. I didn't think I'd be able to contribute to this, but just in terms of the things that might be available, I say through the school, and there's a lot of
something like if you've got an iPad in the house as well, you can just get depends if it works on it, but you can get a pencil for that and start working on that. That can be your basis. I know a lot of artists have that as their main tablet of choice, because it allows them the freedom to move around and it's inexpensive in comparison to like the whole computer and tablet setup. So it's always that. I mean, when I started drawing again like years ago, I was using my phone and my finger, because there's like I just bought a drawing app for my iPhone and started on that as my basis. And it was just a case of I need something to start on before I moved on to something bigger, I guess. And it allowed me to play around with the basics and get an idea for it.
Rebecca from Posse as well, the wife of Don, she asked, what does your daily life look like as an artist? How do you balance work and family life? We touched upon that a little bit yesterday, but maybe you can give us a more inside look.
I generally don't balance it well. I would say I'm working most of the time. I spend I wouldn't say it's just one of those things. It's like I enjoy what I do, so I can very easily get lost in what I do from a daily basis. But it's still like family still comes first and everything else. But I don't know. How do you balance it? It's a juggling act like anything else. So if there's certain weeks that I'm working very solid, then I make sure I take time out weeks later, so I can make up for that time. But I've got an understanding family that realizes sometimes you have to strike while the iron's hot with certain things. So you play around, and it's my own business in that sense. So it pays for me to invest my time in here as well.
How is it? How is your cultural background? How does it play into your art? I mean, Charm, I think, has a lot of cultural influences, I would say, for example. I mean, he's also Indian, or is he like...
I'm Sri Lankan, Charm is.
Sri Lankan, okay, yeah.
How does it work? I don't know. It's one of those things, it's like you are the person you are, and you never really look at the sum of your parts sometimes, and to break down why I do what I do, because it's always been you, and this is how you choose to work. I mean, I've been brought up with, brought up in England, so it's born and brought up in England. So it's like, it's a mix of cultures from, my family and my surroundings. So it's never been a thing that I think about, from an ingredients point of view. But it definitely influences, I guess it's definitely an influence of who I am and the art I produce. But I think that's more of a natural progression. And I choose what elements I want to bring in. And it's something I definitely want to, I'm working currently on a book cover for an author, and the story's based in India, so it's probably one of the reasons why I'm working on it as well. And it's a chance for me to play around with that sort of sandpit and that stylization that it's I've been brought up with from whether it's art, whether it's cinema and so forth, and I get to put it in my work. So it's a fun way of showing it, and it might be something that if you know, if it's successful in the sense from if I enjoy it, it might be something that I put more of it into my own original work as well.
Mm. How would you, or what could you maybe give us as a suggestion what people should watch or read that has cultural influence on you or comes from your culture that you have in there?
Let's see.
Is there something maybe?
Is there something in particular? I'm not sure there's something in particular, because it's just like I've like as a child I've been brought up on from cinema point of view, and everything from Hong Kong cinema to, you know, to Hollywood to Bollywood. So
For example, I watched like, which has this Indian connection in that sort of way, is that I watched is it Gogol? I think yeah, I think it was Gogol, called Gogol. It was a 2015 movie with the actor who died last year, the famous Indian actor. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think is probably losing it from the pronunciation of the thing, but
like it's like let me find it. You talk. I'll find it out while we talk.
Okay. That's fine. So I'll just show everyone where I am at the moment. So I've blocked out most of the colors, and I've started like now putting in some detail with some highlights, which I will maneuver around so they work just on the black as well. But that's where I am at the moment. So it's the fun stage now. Now that you've blocked out everything else and you put all like the roadmap in place for what your piece will be, you get to start playing around with the detail of that and bringing it to life.
I found the movie, by the way. It's The Namesake. Now I remember.
Oh,
The Namesake, yeah, with Irfan Khan and Kal Penn.
Yes.
That was a great movie. I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. He's a very talented actor. So it's a very big loss. Like from, you know, and he's worked in Hollywood as well as from Indian cinema.
Yeah, I really liked him a lot.
Yeah, he's a love. I mean, like from what I've seen of him on screen, of course, for the most part, and you know, some of it from like him out in his personal life, it's a great loss to cinema. And I was like, you know, loved his films, and I love that he crossed over as well between the different.
Sort of transcended.
Yeah, he was just an actor. You wouldn't just say he was a Bollywood actor or he was a Hollywood actor. He was an actor.
He was incredible in Life of Pi. It's absolutely superb.
Some people wanted to know, are there any bad habits that you recognize but just embrace because it's the way you like to work?
Yeah, I think everything is born out. I mean, I would say because I'm self-taught as an illustrator, so a lot of it probably is bad habits. And if like my art teachers from when I was at high school, they'd probably say that's not the way to do it. Bad habits though, let's see. I've unlearned some of them, because it used to be how I used to stack a file and how I used to label a file. And a lot of the times now when I'm working with screen print in mind just as a language. So my layering and stuff is a bit more precise from that point of view. So it can be very easily, whether the piece is going to be a screen print or not, it can very easily be translated to a screen print later on. So that's something I've learned over time. Whereas when I initially started, where layering didn't matter as much. So like I would produce a piece and I'd probably only do about 3 or 4 layers, and everything was very much merged together in color. Whereas now everything it's its own layer. Every color is its own layer, so I can very easily separate it. And you know, sometimes some colors have like multiple layers within a folder for detail. So things like that. I think it's things you learn over time. No, like super bad habits, I guess sometimes is the case of I don't always keep my sketches. My desk is full of loads of post-it notes, which have like the initial ideas of a piece, and you know, a lot of the times that piece will come out and then I lose the post-it note. So I should take better care of those, you know, for prosperity's sake, I guess.
Do you do the separations yourself then, or do you get help?
No, I generally do like all of them myself. I do of course get tips and stuff over time from different printers, you know, that helps, but I do all the steps myself.
But no Matt Griffin stuff.
No. I've been lucky enough that, like, you know, I've done a fair number of screen prints now, so I've learned while I've done them, and each print you kind of learn a bit more. When you try new techniques of separating and how you can create more texture. So I've been lucky enough to be able to learn on the job. So that's been great for me.
Cool. So are there any other questions? Sadly not yet, but
So getting
How far is that the step you're doing right now? How far would you say is that into the final version?
let's have a look. We are here in a sense of work still to do. We're easily 50% over. I'm doing this very quickly at the moment, so normally this process would be a lot more painstaking, and I'd spend a lot more time on each stroke. But I would say we're easily 50% through this particular character for what I'm hoping to achieve within the time.
Okay, and there's a question by Dave again. Dave, thank you for so many good questions. Do you ever find working with a client that they don't give you enough of the creative control and steer you in a direction that you don't enjoy? How do you handle those situations?
It does happen. Like sometimes you're like I'm like a lot of the work that I do is directly with the studios. For that case, you are kind of like trying to answer a brief to the best part, but I've been lucky enough in the sense that when I get requested to do a piece, it's because they want something, they want a piece that I've done, or, it's conceptually based and so forth. So I'm allowed a certain amount of freedom, but still there's occasions where, okay, something's not necessarily their cup of tea. And in those sorts of scenarios, like, yes, you can, I generally say, here's what you've requested, and that's great. But then I'll also like produce what I believe the piece should be, and they can see it side by side, and at least give an educated like decision, like to see why I'm trying to push for a particular treatment or idea. So that's what I generally do, is like you can say no to someone, but like a no is a very hard way of like trying to resolve something. So you rather say yes, but so give them what they want, but also show them what you think is a better idea, and you're more likely to get a yes out of that than just like denying them the opportunity to see what you're willing to do.
Okay.
Let's have a look.
Why did you, by the way, change the brush style for this? But why is it this particular brush that you're using right now?
So this is one that I've kind of cobbled together. So I use Kyle's brushes a lot, but then there's like some of them I've amended and just changed them a bit so they suit the way I want it stylized a bit more. So I got this very like textured sort of dry paint brush, because it's what I'm currently into. I like having my work look like it's more traditional from that point of view. So my brushes and stuff will be, whether there's a couple of brushes I use, there's a couple of watercolor brushes I use, and there's a couple of dry medium brushes I use, because I like that feel that it's not just, I guess, flat color. I want that texture in my work that allows a bit more freedom from adding like shade even within just one tone of color, of one like color. You can add texture and tone via this texture, which works really well when you're doing screen prints, because you're limited to particular colors. But if you can have like different textures of that color, it kind of works like a secondary and tertiary color within the piece.
Gareth, are we starting is the next stream? By the way, I just want to like time wise ask Gareth, when is the next one?
We probably got like another 8 to 12 minutes. It's quite an easy one to set up, because it's just going to be a discussion, but I don't think we have any sort of JPEGs coming up or anything. So that's a little bit of a fourth wall break there for everyone.
No, that's fine. Going very quickly then. That's fine.
Quick question, another for Doaly. Do you have any recommendations for places or websites to go for resources such as brushes, or do you have any other useful tips that people can go and look at?
Yeah, I would say like resources wise, but you'll never go wrong with like Kyle's brushes that come with Photoshop now, I believe. So yeah, that's a great starting point, because there's so many like different medium brushes, and you can just, a lot of the times when like the brush packs come out, I'll just open up like a clean canvas and start playing around with them all and see which ones that really work for me, and then those are the ones that I'll highlight for use later on once I've experimented with. But that's pretty much it. Is like, I think pretty much it's all Kyle's brushes and just like the standard Photoshop brushes. You can do a lot with just the standard brush, and it just depends on your pressure sensitivity and the opacity that you work with. You can do a lot just with the standard stuff, to be honest. But yeah, that would be my starting point.
Okay.
Thank you to Max Finkel. That was exactly
Thank you, Max.
He said you guys are awesome for putting this all together. Well, Thank you. It's
Yeah, it's been cool. Really
it's
has.
I'm glad that 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 it's had the desired effect. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some more stuff in the future, definitely. And Gareth and we talked about like early next year, maybe another date, and make this also an annual thing.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I know it's come out of basically not having any cons this year, but I've thoroughly enjoyed taking part, and I know everyone's like enjoying, the added content that we wouldn't normally have. So why not make it a thing?
Yeah, and I mean, it's very nice for all the people that maybe not gonna make it to some kind of con in any way, and especially like if you had to travel to New York or to LA for San Diego Comic Con, this is a hard time. This is for most of the people that live in Europe, one-time deal that they're gonna go there. So, and I think this is helping out a lot of people in that way.
Yeah, I hope, and seeing people coming in from different countries has been great. And going forward, when we're in it, when obviously done a lot of thinking over the past week when I've had a moment to breathe about what happens with this, with AMPjam after this, and thinking about, okay, well, if what about events that do exist, the events that do exist, and we are able to go to conventions again, there are still people who can't go, people who want to go to Thought Bubble, but they live in America. What can we do with that? What can we do for them? So, I think there are a lot of possibilities. We can also, help bring things to people, digitally and whatever. We'll the ideas are all in the melting pot at the moment.
Great. How are we doing for time, guys?
I think we still have some time.
Probably have like 10 minutes tops.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. We can get a lot done in that. That's fine.
Dave, glad that this is your first con and you can participate in that way and have still the feeling of a con, getting to know the artist, having a little bit of community feeling here. So. And yeah, Mike is saying here, for people wanting to learn, these process videos are amazing. A huge thank you to all you guys for setting this up, and also to Doaly for taking the time and being willing to share.
Oh, no problem. I mean, one of the things I'm planning on doing probably is going to be next week is taking a finished piece of art and going through the entire, actually live, going through the steps of translating that to a screen print, which will be used. So that's something.
Yeah,
that's
going to be on your stream, huh? On your Twitch stream,
yeah,
right?
I'm going to do a Twitch thing because it allows me probably, the 2 to 3 hours that it's going to take a piece of artwork and, do a full separation on it. Because I've always get people asking how you do seps and everything else. I was like, it's things I've learned while doing it, so it's hard to explain, but I'm going to show everyone how I do it my particular way.
Yeah, so, and definitely invite Matt Griffin because he needs some help.
That's what it's like. Once you do one, it's like you take those basics and it just translates to every other piece that you do.
Yeah.
I think he's sitting pretty now with Matt Griffin is, because he's just like, I can paint whatever I want and Matt will focus and we'll sort it out. So I don't think he cares anymore. He's like, I'm going to make it even more difficult the next one.
Max Finkel also said he's a vector person himself, and he said that you like Kyle brushes and you like the grainy dry look. For a person about to experiment, anything you dislike in brushwork?
I guess the uncertainty when you're doing very sometimes fluid lines, you can I'm not sure. Sometimes Photoshop, it delays a bit, and then your stroke isn't 100% perfect. And for when that does happen, Photoshop allows you to draw vector shapes and vector lines, so I do sometimes incorporate that into my work as well. So that's probably the pet peeve of it when that does happen. It's like, okay, you can't have something as smooth as you want just by hand. So yeah, then I just incorporate vector lines and vector then. That's my only pet peeve, I would say.
Oh, okay. That's all great. Well, while we were talking, because this was so relaxing, I did I did a mock draft. I did a mock draft for my fantasy league tonight. Still doing it, but I'm okay. I picked Patrick Mahomes. Got Edwards, CEH, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire for the football fans out there. That's going to be a pick. I'm going to see how that's going to turn out. And got some Travis Kelce in there. But yeah, we'll see what the real draft is gonna say tonight. Are you guys? I mean, I know that Gareth is into basketball. Doaly, are you into something?
Cinema.
Which is apt, actually.
I don't watch an awful lot of sports, I'd have to say. So if I said I was, I'd be lying. But yeah, my family and everyone is like the whole family's a big Liverpool supporter. So
okay.
That's been fun this year just to see them win the league finally. So that's a nice thing.
Dave Skates just said that he's never been to a con before, and this is sort of his first. Well, welcome, and we are. We're privileged to have welcomed you to the world of conventions.
Why does Don want me to take Brady? I think Don is from Massachusetts, right? Is that so? Doaly, do you know?
Yeah. I believe so.
Brady, come on. He's with the Buccaneers now, Don. I don't want to take Brady. He's old. He has some weapons now, but Gronk is not still back. I mean, he's still not in football shape, I have to say. And I don't want to take Brady. I'd take Mahomes over Brady any day. Double the points.
Anyway, so Dolly's done a really cool piece here.
We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. So I'm some spot brushes and add just a bit more texture.
I just wanted to give Doaly some breathing room so he can do his work.
It's sometimes I don't mind too much like drawing and talking. Let's see. So now one of the other things like that we know from Spider-Gwen and in the sense Spider-Verse is that sort of like half-tone pattern. So it's been cool just to make that as part of your work because of that. I think a lot of artists have started using half-tones again within their work, whereas before it was to a degree poo-pooed because like it was seen as an easy way of creating texture in what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, in screen prints. But now it's like become more of a design choice, and people are very much into it. So it's nice incorporating that back into your work again. So and it really lends itself to like especially properties which are comic book based.
Yeah, these dots it's like comicify.
Yeah.
It's got that glitchy feel.
Yeah.
But by the way, for the other people out there, I'm trying to throw together like a March Madness tournament situation, like to vote for the poster of the year. And I was thinking going in like having 4 brackets in terms of in terms of topic of the poster. For example, have a Star Wars bracket where only Star Wars posters go in. Also have like maybe a Marvel bracket where only Marvel posters go in, or a superhero or something like that, and then have 2 more maybe based on directors or something like that. I was thinking about maybe doing that at the end of the year. How would you like that, people? Give me some fan reactions. How would you like that, Gareth and Doaly? Would you participate? Just some voting, like every other day having a vote, like a versus thing.
Like a versus thing, and then you put them, and then do you stack them against each other after that?
Yeah, of course. It's going to go up to the final, and then we're going to have the post of the year by voting.
I see.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Rebecca Thompson's asking favorite licensed release.
By me, or
I don't know. What's your favorite project to date? Yes. Well, if she said there's 2 questions there. So it says, what's your favorite official project to date, and then favorite licensed release.
Let's see, favorite projects. I'm trying to think. I always have to look back at my website because a lot of the times I forget the work that I've done. Just because it's usually there's so many different pieces throughout the year. Some favorite ones though. Let me have a think. I mean, was it last year or was it the year before now? It's just like the years have melded in one another. But Infinity War. I'm sorry, Endgame. That was of course fun to do, and it's like it was more of an event than it was a film in the positive sense. So that was cool to work on, and just to be able to be involved within that property. So that was fun. So as a release and everything else, that was great. My Wonder Woman piece was it's one of the ones that kind of put me on the map in a sense. For a lot of people that didn't know my work prior to that, so that was a cool one to work on. What was the second part of that question?
Oh, that basically, like you said, it was basically the what's your favorite official project to date, and then favorite licensed release, and I think that those two were linked. So it was about your own piece rather than
So I guess those. I mean, out of recent times, I think Jaws especially. I really enjoyed doing that piece because I did that during COVID, and it was a chance to actually just work on ideas and projects that I wanted to do for myself more than anyone else, and it so happened that it translated into being a gallery print because it's well received. So I've done a lot of those during COVID. There's still more to come out, but Batman Begins is another one that's going to be coming out with Bottleneck, and that's another fun one. It's an idea and a concept that I wanted to do for a while, and I'm just glad like the gallery in a sense they liked it as well. So it's become an official piece, and it should be getting launched at some point, in the next few months. So those are my favorites at the moment because it's one of the more recent pieces I've done.
Awesome. I think we're going to have to. How far off are you here? Because we are now up against it.
If we're 30, okay, so we can do that. So that was my swatches in the top corner. So I'm going to take those off. We're going to quickly just turn on a couple of things where I got a chance to play around with before. So
wow.
That's when you have a bit more time you can play around a few things. But there you go. That's kind of like that's Spider-Gwen as a quick. I'm not sure how long we took on that. 40 minutes or so.
It's strong. Strong effort there, Doaly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
No problem, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
And if you want to carry on while we're talking about interesting, so we've got our final session up in about 9 minutes, which is going to be a really great chat. It's with Bembo of Uniquely Geekly, who obviously is he does the distribution for the artist proofs and originals of artists like Matt Taylor and Ollie Moss and Doc, and we're gonna have a great chat about how on earth he got to that point, and his sort of career up to this point and stuff. It's gonna be a really interesting chat.
Yeah, I'm going to be working with Ben as well. So, yeah.
You're going to be working with Ben? Nice.
Yeah, we had a chat because of AMPjam, and it's like I'm very bad at sending out prints in a sense and just getting around to it. So
love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah, so in the coming weeks, I'm going to put my store back online. I'm working with Ben on that.
Wicked.
Way to go, Ben. Ben is doing the things behind the scenes, so glad to have him on as our next guest and to give you guys a look into this world.
Yeah. So, wow, there we go.
There you go. There's a few more like details, especially like the webbing in the hood and the arms and stuff. But
see, now we have to make that available as a print for AMPjam 2021.
Yeah, I'm going to finish this off and then I'll post it out and tag everyone so they can just see.
Wicked. Yeah. Awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you, Doaly, for coming on doing this. And as we mentioned early in the stream, there's something happening with the poster posse, so wait for that. And I also mentioned the cool tournament thing that we're gonna do, and I have also some other surprises I will work on mid-October when I have a break from my regular job. And I will let everybody know, of course. And also AMPjam will probably help me spread the word there, so all of you get notified.
We'll give you a cheeky retweet.
That's very, very nice of you.
So yeah, we're gonna have to go now. But you can we'll speak to you we'll see you in a few minutes. And thank you again, Doaly.